Welcome to Roland's Travels, and in this video we're taking a look at the market town of Frome in Somerset, which lies about a 20 minutes drive south of the city of Bath. Frome traces its roots back to Saxon times, and there was in fact a monastery in the year 685 founded by the abbot of Malmesbury, St Eldhelm. As we look around Frome, you'll see many beautiful buildings. Some have a rich history that we know about, perhaps many have a history we don't know about as well, and you'll see plenty of plaques on walls. Now I am going to do a separate video upcoming in the future, so look out for that one. We'll look at each of these buildings and about the people who lived there and what they were used for, etc. So do tune in for that one. Become a subscriber if you're not already, and then we'll be able to tell you more. Looking at the bridge now, it's actually got buildings on the bridge, a bit like the Ponte Vecchio in Florence, and of course the Pulteney Bridge in Bath, where there are shops on the bridge. Just shops on one side of this bridge. Another little lane here, beautiful area. And when you look at Frome, there are so many little side streets with plenty of buildings to look at. We'll cross over the River Frome now and take a look at this first building on our left here. This is the Blue House. It used to be the Blue School when it was first established. It was built in 1726 on the site of some 15th century almshouses, so a long history here. A bit of an overflow down there for the River Frome. It closed as a school in 1926, and it got its name because the school uniform was indeed blue. This is the main sort of shopping area of Frome. But we're going to go down first of all King Street, and as we go down King Street, again some fine old buildings, and also if you like your vinyl records, there is Raves from the Grave, definitely a must visit if you like vinyl records, or CDs of course. Now walking along King Street, it actually comes up to a spring at the top, which you'll start to see here. Now the spring will feed a lead that runs all the way down through the centre of Cheap Street, and we're going to go down Cheap Street in a moment. And this is taking us down Cheap Street. It takes its name from seep, which is the word for Saxon word for to sell, C-E-A-P, and that's been changed into Cheap Street. But just look above the shops at the buildings you've got here, just how old they are. And there's the water flowing down, which goes back under a culvert later on to return to the River Frome. There are many tunnels under Frome, and they do occasionally have a day when you can be invited to explore those. I haven't done that, but it is something obviously that some people like to do if you don't mind being a bit claustrophobic and getting quite wet. So we're going to take you all down through these. Lots of past all these independent shops here. And excellent bookshops, jewellers and so on as you go down through. Frome does have a good range of independent shops, which is nice to see. An artisan type of shops as well. Now when we get to the end of Cheap Street, that will bring us out into the marketplace. There still are stalls here in the market when it's market day, but the majority of the market has been moved on to the old cattle market site, which is now a large car park, and you'll see that later on in the video. The weekly market was set up from the year 1270 when it was given a market charter, and it was also had an annual fair which was increased to 2 extra fairs, so 3 fairs in total, from the year 1492. Interesting signs, aren't there, on the buildings there going back. That garage closed, we believe, in the 1950s, so it's nice to see those signs have been revealed. So we're just looking back down at the marketplace. And we're now going to take a little walk and work our way into Catherine Street in a moment. At the top of this road we come to Catherine Street, which is very steep hill, and that takes its name from a chapel built in the 13th century dedicated to St. Catherine. And you'll find that Frome is very hilly, so you do need to be fairly fit to walk up and down Frome. The river is at the bottom of the valley and everything else goes upwards either side, and quite steeply in places as well. And you get to the top of some hills, you go down the other side, and of course you go back up again. So we're now just reaching the corner of Catherine Street there, looking up it. And just look at the beautiful buildings that you get. There's the high pavement just up there. We'll take a walk across that in a short while too. So let's start making our way up the hill. Lots of shops you'll find which are kind of all tastes really. From the sort of antiques, bric-a-brac, clothing shops, usual hairdressers, that kind of thing, clothing as we said. And when you get to the top there's a model shop as well, and a quality butchers at the very top of the road. But as you go along, if you come this way and walk up the hill, do be prepared to take turns off and then come back on again. Have a look around, because there's some little side roads that are well worth taking a look at. People enjoying coffee in the sunshine. Lovely day it was when we did this video. And that's our high pavement coming up on the left. So we'll turn round and take a look at that. And there it is. It's the high pavement. And so when you walk along the high pavement, another nice old sign there, the Coleman sign. And then we walk down and then looking back up towards Catherine Street again, from the top of the pavement looking back to where we started the Catherine Street walk. Now we're back on Catherine Street now. One thing Frome had, lots of churches, chapels and many pubs in the days gone by. Still quite a few. Now again, just veering off Catherine Street into Shepherd's Barton. Keep your eyes open and you'll see things like this. A little pump for the water supply. So we've come back onto Catherine Street, and again when you look around, we'll come back up that street. We're going to do a circular walk, then come back up through there. This is the Valentine lamp with its post box, and people want to post their letters on Valentine's Day. They can obviously pop them in that box. I personally love the mixture of housing and shops. I think that works really well together, and of course offices as well. Many of the former churches and chapels have been converted to housing, but you'll see some grand buildings with frontages like we've just seen there, and many old pubs. So here's a very nice looking building, the Sun Inn. Again, has a long history, goes back a long way. And that's the High Street, again another street with many old buildings in it, and still at the top of Catherine Hill now. Just take a look at that little shop window here, show you a bit of artwork. And everywhere you look, we've got these beautiful buildings. Frome did build its wealth on wool, but of course we know that the wool and trade was moved abroad over the years, and it closed down pretty much in Britain. But in Frome, printing became a big business, and so did foundries. So this was the former Butler and Tanner printing works, one of the leading printers in the country, producing millions of books over the years, and obviously brochures, pamphlets, etc. But sadly that's closed, but has been converted into apartments. And this is the site here of another very old public house. Just let you take in the views as we go down through. Again, we'll be covering that building in a future video. Now, when Frome had its foundries, it produced many statues that are all over the world. And the lamp that you see we're just going past now is called a cocky lamp. That is a very well respected piece of architectural history in that lamp there. And they're just warning us here, don't allow them to be stolen, because they are greatly in demand and are listed in fact now. Now if we walk down the road ahead of us now, we can come back out onto Catherine Hill, and I mentioned earlier on we'd do a loop and get back onto the hill, and this will take us that way. Again, just look at the age of some of these properties as we go past them. Now to end this video, we've gone into Cork Street, and at the end of Cork Street we'll come to where the site of J.W. Singer was. So this is the site of J.W. Singer, which is now a housing estate. Not much of the original building remains, but it's very attractively done. And there's another blue plaque, and we'll be looking more about J.W. Singer when we do our blue plaque tour for you, but you can find his works all around the world in the form of statues, gatework, all kinds of things. So walking down from Cork Street, we've gone down to the river. There's the River Frome, flows all the way through the town. That's looking back to Singer's Court, as it's called now. And if you go down into the car park, you can see the Discover Frome information board. Purchase yourself a map from the vending machine there. This is the old wool stall, something that's left from the woolen trade. And the cheese and grain, where Sir Paul McCartney appeared recently. Thank you for joining me on this little tour of Frome. Please do subscribe to the channel before you go, and I hope to bring you much more about Frome in the future and many other places that I'll be visiting. Thank you very much indeed. Take care.